So I know that you kind of know the gist of what I'm going to ask, but there was a lot of allegations about overcrowded cells, air conditioning not working, them not having access to phones or food or water. What can you say to that?
Sure. There may have been times when, our admissions area, um, be frank, isn't built to accommodate, well over 100 people being arrested in a short time frame. And that creates bottlenecks on a good day, in terms of our ability to process people efficiently. In terms of the conditions, I was there most of the day yesterday until about 10:30 at night last night. Um, I did not see anybody in distress. The air conditioning was working the whole time. The people had access to phones. We have um, 10 inmate phones in our admissions area that are free, and people can make as many calls as they want. Now, if you think, we did have well over 100 people in custody in the overnight shift, so not everybody can use those phones at once. So there was times where people had to wait. We also have our normal jail functions that continue to happen, even in times like this, where we have to stop all movement in order to do counts. We have people, there are medications to be delivered, meals to be served. All of those things happen on a schedule. Well, whether there's something extraordinary like this happening or not. So those things also disrupt the immediate processing of people as they're being booked in or being released. We also had, excuse me, a couple of of incidents where we had combative individuals who were being booked in, and we needed to, in that case, our day room area, our open seating area, and our booking area, we have to clear that and put everybody into holding cells. So there may have been portions of time where people felt crowded. Throughout the day on Sunday, once I got there, those areas, those holding areas, had room for everyone to sit. It wasn't a standing room only or a cramped condition. I'm sure it was much more lengthy than anybody wanted, and especially us, and especially the people who were subjected to staying here for a long time because of the IT problems that we had that set us back even further.
Was that just a routine maintenance, or did you guys actually have
It
computer
started that way. There's a maintenance window that every in the early morning hours of Sunday mornings, because that's typically a quiet time for us. These arrests came in late enough that routine time became less than routine. And then what really was problematic was after that, when the system came back online, not all of our functions came back. And that created that problem actually didn't get resolved until like 4:30 in the afternoon. So in the early.
Oh, go ahead.
But as the when the system came back on and certain functions failed to restore to our usefulness, our staff here on site were told that it wouldn't be a very long delay by our IT department. So I think they allowed, they communicated that to the people who were waiting. Unfortunately, that turned out not to be the case, and that created further frustration and maybe some distrust and people thinking that there was intentional miscommunication.
What time did the system come back on after the maintenance? Well, no. When it came back and things weren't working.
Sure, that was sometime between around 6 a.m., I believe. And then from there on, it was the unexpected outage that continued after that.
So because
until about 4:30.
So we talked to one protester who says that she was put in a cell that said a capacity of 14, and that she had about 40 to 50 in there, and that they could never sit down all night long. Any comment on that?
I can't tell you that there wasn't moments in time, like when one of those incidents was happening in the booking area, where we had to take people out of our open seating area and put them all in the holding cells for a period of time. That capacity number, there's a sticker on top of the the doorway that says ice capacity 14. There's a whole set of different standards for ice that aren't these. If you see these rooms, and we actually allowed the World Herald to come in today and take photographs of all of them. 14 people is an understatement for the true capacity. One of the rooms is actually quite a bit larger than the other, and it still says 14. So that's just kind of a standard ice capacity thing that we're, that's not applicable when we're not using those rooms for individuals who are detained by ICE.
And then she said that a toilet wasn't working and that officers weren't really allowing them to use a bathroom, use a phone, give them water.
I've heard that repeatedly about the concern about the toilet. Throughout my whole day there yesterday, I didn't have a single person mention that to me throughout the whole day. I'm not saying that it didn't happen. We have maintenance staff here 24 hours a day. And they, we have toilets clog all the time. And so I'm not usually notified every time there's a toilet that needs to be. So it certainly is possible that happened. But nobody made a mention it to me. Not a single staff member, not a single protester. I didn't hear that until much later in the day that had been an issue earlier.
So do you feel, because they feel like they were kind of mistreated, I mean, what would you say to that?
It was unfortunate that the delays were as long as they were. And I wish that, we're reflecting and attempting to learn from this as well. One of the things that I've already identified is that if this should ever happen again, something like this, we're going to go ahead and implement the paper processes as soon as we can. Even if we're told, hey, your system will be online in 20 minutes, we're not going to believe it till we see it in the future, and we're going to implement the processes quickly, so that we, because, to be honest, we didn't want anybody, as much as these people wanted to be out, we wanted them out almost as much. We have no interest in having that many people here. During a pandemic, especially, we are very concerned about the well-being of our staff and of our incarcerated population. One of the things that I've heard is that we were taking people's PPE. That's just not a true statement either. When people are booked in, we swap their mask for one of our masks because that's just we have to be able to see people's faces and take their photos, and we have to make sure there's nothing hidden in, so people, they're given their masks, they're given a clean mask. We launder our masks every day. We have 3,000 masks for our inmate population.
So what, say if someone wanted a water or maybe something to eat, how does that work for you guys? If I requested water, what would happen?
Their sack lunches and with drinks were delivered for breakfast and lunch, and dinner for people who were still there. There are drinking fountains in the admissions area. Is it on demand? This was a very challenging situation for us. So, the moment somebody says they're thirsty, if we had other things going on in the admissions area to let them out to go get a drink, I'm sure people waited. But like I said, I saw nobody sweating. I heard a lot of complaints about the ventilation, and I'm sure it did get warm in the rooms with lots of people in, but the air was on, everything was working properly. It was actually much more comfortable when I was inside in the admissions area than it was outside when I was outside with the crowd.